I like to do these tarot readings to get to know you, to promote the brand, to check out the merchandise. It's all the love. Okay, so divine guidance and loving clarity. So it comes through. So it's intuitive. You're your own master. I like to remind people, the cards have no power over us, like the planets. And I think there's so much discernment around revelation and consciousness and the ongoing battles that we see on this planet. And I really see the continuation of unpacking narcissistic abuse personally and globally, and the way narcissism kind of limits our ability to work together, and in many ways kind of just continually avoids the true healing, because to me so often it's just about feeling the feels, feeling the pain of betrayal, the pain of neglect. And I do feel that as a collective we're moving through and eventually beyond massive wounds around betrayal. Of course, more awakening around the pathology and thus the illness of narcissism, but then also recognize that like capitalism breeds narcissism. And I guess fundamentally like survival mode, so long as we live in this really, I would say, base economy, debt-based economy. Base as in low function, because it doesn't, it's only serving, people that I guess have power over it. But yeah, I think so long as we're in this weird survival mode system where we all need to like fight to get the money and fight to survive. Think of like survival of the fittest and that being like a program that we're indoctrinated by. And so it's like, yeah, if you can treat people like Shazam and walk all over them and essentially sort of be like a psychopath and not feel anything, then we can succeed in this brutal, cutthroat world, right? Although I would say, that's one option. Someone like myself, part of my early awakenings over 20 years ago, I saw through that economic system and renounced materiality. I think part of my awakening experience, I can testify, is also an aspect of being traumatized. I think we're all somewhat traumatized by this world and by, historically speaking. So yeah, seeing beyond the veil of the economic system meant that I kind of rejected all materiality. I didn't want to have anything to do with the economy. I had no respect for corporation, no respect for big companies. And it wasn't until probably by my late 20s, early 30s, I started teaching yoga that I realized, okay, I think in my integrity, I can teach yoga. So that was the first time in my adult life where I made enough to kind of live relatively comfortably as far as like affording my own apartment to rent, and then taking bigger leaps. So in my own personal life, I've had two cycles of like the hero's journeys where I've like heeded a call and been like, "Hala Shazam, I'm gonna go do the thing," and then the last cycle I found so destabilizing. And yet we're coming back to that stability. And so I'm like, wow. And I think it's a very unique kind of journey as far as like in our world, our life is not for anyone else to judge. And I think unless we resonate with that truth of leaving behind all that we know, or taking intuitively or inspired action to the point that your physical dimensional life will fall away. Hey Joseph, how goeth? So yeah, it's like a learning process, exactly, full circle, and then you complete the circle, you're like, all right, now what? And I'm sharing with my friends, I'm like, I really don't know, other than like I'm here in tarot and Alta Love and continuing to teach Hatha yoga and breath work and meditation. But because of the core wounding, because of the healing of certain core wounds, there's also a little bit of an existential, who am I? Who am I? Like, because if you're not operating from the core wound, your whole function, everything kind of goes, oh, well, wait a minute. Who could I be? Who could I go? And then I don't know. I'll just keep sharing with you guys, I guess, because a little bit of percolation, a little bit of thingy of like, wow, maybe life could be even more joyful and beyond anything I ever imagined. Because a big part of it is like wanting to make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. All to love. Like if we loved each other more, if we loved ourselves more, surely we'd behave better. But again, who am I? I don't know. I just see the division and the hatred and the contempt, and I just think, enough. Stop it, you guys. Don't be so cruel. Don't be so cruel to one another. Divine guidance and loving clarity is my intention with tarot. Divine guidance and loving clarity. Intuish reigns supreme. Okay, some of you guys are walking away from a love situation that's not been moving forward. Too much conflict maybe, or passive conflict, like being in a situation where somebody's like troubled or in conflict and they either they can't express, but either way the situation's not moving forward. There was love, or it's like a sense of connection, but there's no energetic, there's nothing moving forward. Oh, hey. 12 years ago, my lover. 24. That would be 2012, wouldn't it? Yeah, well, it's funny because I started posting on the tubular, back in 2012. So yeah, walking away from something, maybe there's too much unresolved conflict as well. And then the Two of Cups reverse is like not moving a love situation forward. Warranted, it's not going great. High Priestess. What's the High Priestess saying here? Some of you might, Empress reverse made me think of like, something like, I'm hearing like the better the devil you know. This came through a private reading, I feel, recently, but I could be wrong. So I'm hearing Intuish reigns supreme, High Priestess, the devil. Only for some of you, there could have been someone else in the mix. Okay? Only for some of you. High Priestess is like intuiting. Is there another Empress in the situation? No, but because it's the devil. Better the devil we know. And I'm not sure why that expression's coming through, but this is also part to me of the awakening or of ascension or of high vibratory. It's like knowing our darkness, knowing our shadows, knowing the devil energy, right? Only because I'm getting some of you, do have a decision to make, and there's a lot of underlying conflict. High Priestess. I feel like your intuition's being blocked. And either way, I think emotionally, you and or the other person, there's too much emotional stuff going on to even see clearly. Okay, so if there's a personal love situation, you're not feeling it, you're not moving forward, walk away. Be mindful of getting into something too quickly, okay? Right. Okay. So that's, I think, part of the pattern. Beware. You're walking off, you're going off on your own. Working on your own personal solid foundation is likely to benefit you more than letting go of a situation or having a breakup from a love dynamic and then like rebounding, getting right into a situation is not likely going to serve you. Double five of wands, it looks like it's just going to get right back into either a codependent situation or just a situation with a lot of conflict. This Empress, why? Because like it looks like there's like some lingering energy, or I think especially when you've been magnets to it, it's like there's always that potential, right? For the deceivers, because an Empress reverse would be somebody not necessarily to trust. But that's the whole point of abuse and narcissism, is their manipulation. So we can't, blame ourselves. But then I also try to like highlight the truth of self-responsibility and ownership is we still have to look at what part of us is attracting in that energy, right? So we have to understand, because they go together. Like being a people pleaser or being somebody who's wanting to please people in order to get love can often attract that narcissism. So we recognize there's manipulation both ways. People pleasing, trying to be a good person, is often manipulative. And what we repress are things like resentment. We repress anger. And again, point being, when we repress, it's gonna come out in shady. It's gonna come out sideways, right? It's like the fantastic beasts and where to find them. We're not owning our power. The shades and the shadows come out in the experiential reality. As in, we'll end up creating situations that are shameful. We end up creating situations that are painful because we're not expressing our pain. And as a self-healer, we don't need to, I'm not saying to isolate yourself, but God is the witness, right? The self is your own witness. If you have a trusted therapist or people to work with that you can feel safe to express authentically with, great. If you don't, express authentically to yourself. We can process our emotions on our own. That's the whole point. It's just that the depth and the pain of it is what most people are like, that's okay, I know, I just go shopping. Or let's just talk about it. I know, isn't it like sad? Oh, you're like, so, and that's also a manipulative tactic. People who talk about emotions or talk about vulnerability is different than being vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Okay, let's get a few more cards for this divine crew of the high vibratory or low vibratory. Who cares? We love it all. I think with all that's going on in the world, I need to remind myself also that the whole point of this is like practicing nonviolent communication. People like Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. There's these modern day revolutionaries who are no longer with us, and yet they practice nonviolent communication and or nonviolent resistance. All that at some, I am complete nonviolence, and yet what I'm seeing going on in the world, it triggers a flight, right? Like it triggers, I'm like, that war mentality of like, so you need to weaponize so-and-so so they can get back to them and fight back, god damn it. Like, because I don't think most of us in this generation want to see an entire people like wiped off the map. And I think more and 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 more of us are waking up to that colonialist, imperialist worldview that really has been dominating the world for probably thousands of years, and that we're all just meant to be like bending over and abiding. And I really can't not think about how, 50, 70 odd years ago, whatever, and we're kind of, thank God, closing out some of these atrocious world wars, and the disparity of having to rebuild. And so there's a sense of like, we can't let this happen, because if we think that's acceptable to just go over and take and pulverize and then just be like, this is mine now. This is part of the injustice that we've been dealing with, like being a Canadian person, having debates at university about the rights of Native people. Like, these are the people that belong here. Okay, and from a loving perspective, we all belong here, but then why are our countries funding, I wouldn't even say a war, it's just pure unadulterated power grab, land grab through force. Like, and the contempt and the evil that's required to act that out, I don't even understand. Like, I can't understand how that is like fun for people, or even at all anything you'd ever want to do. But then in a very small way, it made me realize like power is power. I remember realizing that even in the yoga industry, like, people feel powerful teaching yoga or teaching, and I get it. But I'm also aware of the shadow of feeling so-called power with regards to powering over people or having wisdom or knowledge that can make people be like, oh my God. But beware, beware of the way our power can intoxicate us, and then end up doing things that probably, maybe not this lifetime, hopefully this lifetime, the soul will regret. Or because I do see this reality as like real for the purpose of experience, but infinitely kind of cosmic and transient as well, as far as the multiverse and the multidimensionality and interstellarness of our like actual function, or like our actual eternal life, and that we are here to learn and to experience, and it is infinite, is constantly kind of going in and out, up and down, contract, expand, light, dark. So the experience of duality on this earth plane is exquisitely fundamental for our soul's growth, right? Like, we all jump at the opportunity. Let's go down to earth, oh my God, right? And we get here, we're like, fuck, ouch, these bodies. And that was even from a young age, like, seeing violence on TV for me was traumatizing. I'm like, Mommy, why are they doing that to those people? Why are they doing that to the animals? Like, seeing violence and pain was just like, and I was always the kid at school that got teased. Like, why is Molly crying? I'm like, because the war images, they hurt my heart. And people are like, anyway, some people would feel empathy, not everybody though. And I mean, I got to say at this point as well, one thing that I'm aware of is the desensitization of our minds and hearts, is that through Hollywood propaganda, we are so accustomed to seeing wretched violence that seeing it real, like, this shit is actually happening right now in my universe, it's almost like not real. It's like just another video game on my phone, right? But there again, I couldn't even sensitize myself to video games. I'd always be like, I don't want to kill them. And I'd get like, I didn't like the stress and energy that even fighting games, video games gave me. I got into Tetris very briefly. That's not, is it Tetris? No, that's not Tetris. What was the other one? Diddy Kong Racing. A little bit of Mario, but Diddy Kong was better. That's the thing, just smiles and just grace, you know, just fucking being kind to people, like having empathy for people. It's just so profoundly beautiful. And yet, I think some of us could, I mean, for me personally, unpacking, like, again, narcissistic abuse from childhood that's been denied, and like remembering stuff, and yeah, that like we deserve to be joyful. So it's like my program is like be kind to everybody and like be nice and serve and like da. But like for the longest time I didn't even really allow myself to have stuff or allow myself to have like a home base or think I needed support. And massively realizing I'm like, people create things with a support system. And that's not like a victimhood. That's just how my life has come to be, and or certain choices I made along the way, and or an imprinting of like, because I think any of you might resonate with this, is like there's definitely protection in isolating ourselves if we've been abused, and especially if we've been abused repeatedly from different people in different situations. I don't consider it isolation. I consider it more to be like cocooning. Where I'm like cocooning, I'm letting my body heal from years and cycles of abuse, where I would end up fleeing, if I was lucky, with a backpack. And then encountering, especially the difficulty, I think, when you're healing trauma is encountering people that have no empathy. That can be re-traumatizing. People that don't have the capacity for empathy will often do funny things, like just kind of stare at you or like invalidate you or make you feel like it didn't happen, or the worst, make you think it's your fault, that you deserved it. It's been a joy meeting these types of people. Like, well, why were you there? Like, maybe so-and-so, like basically defending the abuser. The amount of times that ended up going down, I just found really, really fascinating. As in people who were like, these are all corrupted power plays as well. I can totally own my own manipulative aspect through wounding and how those power plays loop in. But like being spied on or perverted on by somebody, and then having somebody who you thought was a friend later on like do work with this person, and it just, I guess integrity is the word that comes to mind, isn't it? Integrity, like how we treat people. And that was something I'd often shine light on, especially like upper middle class people, the way they treat the poor and or addicts. So I would shine light, like I would see people talking the fucking spiritual talk, but behaving very differently when it came to dealing with people outside of their, proper demographic of the good spiritual people. And if you're poor, or if you're an addict, or if your skin isn't the right color, or you're not really allowed in that spiritual bubble. And in my mind, I'm like, well, that's not spiritual. That's just fucking human separation, ego bullshit, where you have no desire to actually like do good for people who need support. You just want to get your ego massaged by other middle class wankers. Wankers of the most high. Turtle power. I don't know. All these, I'm more acutely aware of the British class system and how that's permeated through various cultures of the world. It is gacky though. And it's very, very, very real. And the Brits are so, and not all, obviously, I'm always generalizing here, obviously, but like, and the one thing that's really interesting is that it's not like one better than the other. It's not like the aristocrats or the upper classes are so-and-so and the poor are this, that. There's just a nuance to the ways of relating that keeps it all in place. And Often in kind of aristocratic worlds, there's very much a people pleasing dynamic between the workers or the peasants or the staff or the whatever, and the ones in control. And that goes both ways. They both have to please each other to get stuff done and to get their needs met. But you can imagine if you own loads of land and loads of property and have loads of power in your community, you want to keep that power. And this is where we're going to continue to see like the nuanced aspect of corruption, because the more people awaken to their own power, the less they're going to abide by shitty society, or shitty cultural aspects that are just going to keep them in their place. And that's also part of a discernment too. Like, there's a heck of a big difference between talking about something and, like I was saying, about talking about your emotions isn't being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is being vulnerable. I'm feeling this right now, not one time I was sad. One time I was sad, I'm vulnerable. Boo. That's not it, right? And or like so many of these things, like, we can talk about nonviolent communication. Doesn't mean we're putting it into practice though, right? Because it's all violence at the root, causality of like division, separation consciousness, blaming and attacking. It's that person that did that to me. My feelings are not because of me. My feelings are because of everybody else. Like, that's fine. You're just going to repeat karmic patterns then. The only way to uproot these karmic cycles is to face them head on and feel the feelings of the process that you have to work through it. That's what's cleansing the body and liberating the mind from the shackles of the past, the perceived past, because it's always happening right here, right now, right? It's always happening in the context of our present moment reality. And we just keep repeating those cycles and patterns until we permission ourselves to rise into a greater state of miracles and blessings. Oh, I've pulled from all the decks, so. I think there's a message here of slowing down to tap into greater balance. I think connection is the legit. I was doing some like journaling yesterday, and connection is the thing. It's like the antithesis of addiction and isolation, right? To feel, and I don't even like, because I have my own addictions. I just am like truly, I just want us all to accept ourselves with all of our badnesses or wrong, you disgusting human being, doing this disgusting habit. And it's like, well, we all have some, we all poo every day, don't we? So, anyway, way lovers, I'm gonna crack on with my day. Is there any more messages that want to come through the cards? Slowing down to just like harness that spiritual potential. For some of you, it's like, I do get a sense of like going out into nature, sitting by a lake, in the morning. It's usually in the morning when there's like that misty dew that floats up and around a river. I do get a sense of like connecting something moisture, like moistness and wetness. Moist, succulent. Certain words are just juicy, aren't they? But to harness your confidence, especially if you have walked away from something, if you've been through a bit of a breakup, it's like coming into your spiritual connection and coming into nature is like a really, really, really nice way to ground, and also quiet confidence, not some ego trip, cocky, arrogant, blah, blah. This is like true humility, like humility and grace to conquer your own demons, because the river of life will take you where you need to go. Plus, like for some of you, just walk away from the thing and trust that the new energies will come in, like they'll flow into your life, because I think you've already initiated it, or now you're ready to step into this new path and really overcome some, because 2 5s is a 10 too. Like really, as you walk away, realizing that you're letting go of some really long-standing conflicts. They probably like might feel really weird walking away from these conflicts because you've been dealing with them so long. You're like, what is my life without this conflict? Or without these battles, or without these people that fight me all the time. Let the rivers take you. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is as you come into greater balance within self, you're going to be you're gonna get that motivation to socialize again. Yeah, mainly just socializing, networking. We have Gemini just gone into, or pardon me, we have Jupiter just gone into Gemini, and it's an air sign. Thinking, debating, intellectualizing, there's going to be an amplification of that. So more of a Gemini is a kind of communications, right? So like chatting online, sharing messages, like all that's very Geminian, and the Jupiter moving through Gemini is only going to expand that. So there's going to be a lot more information. Oh fuck. Like, a lot more information. Get ready for it. Oh God, don't. I just want to sleep. Leave me alone. Love, love will tear us apart again. That's not true. Love will put us back together, my lovers. How you guys doing, Joseph? Anyway, that way, Joseph, you guys have a magical, wonderful, juicy, juicy, juicy day. Thanks for being my internet friends. Thanks for showing up and just enjoying a good old gab fest. May peace be with you all. And mega love you guys. Have an awesome day. Speak to you real soon. Take care. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. And share the video if you think it's useful or fun. Peace out, you guys.